Frankie, Mondays are always better when West Ham win. But not only did we win, I thought the performance was fantastic. Against a good, I know Newcastle weren't good, but they are a good side. It just, felt good. I'm still buzzing. I am still buzzing after yesterday's win.
Yes, I am, but I knew it was coming. I told everyone we was going to win. I expected it. I got my wish of the PFP in midfield. Said that would be the saviour to our season and would be enough, to keep us getting results until January when we can, go and even kick on even more. Just a few right signings around those three in midfield, and I just think it's a balanced midfield, them three. And it actually really showed that they all bring, and even that Paqueta, a lot of people had started calling for his, to be dropped and stuff. I said, you've got to give him a chance in a midfield where he can thrive. And I think we saw that. So, no, it was brilliant. Actually, Geo, watched old Eddie Howe's post-match press conference. I like Eddie Howe, but he was very focused on what went wrong for Newcastle and not really complimentary about what went right for West Ham. And I'm not saying he should sit there and sing our praises, but I do feel like he should have given us a little nod, because while I don't think it was the best Newcastle in the world, and he said he'd change things in midweek and so on, I think he had a plan for us. But I think we had a better plan for them. And we were just on the day, we got it right and they got it wrong. And I think West Ham deserve a lot of credit for what we did. I wouldn't put too much emphasis on Newcastle being bad. I thought we made it very, very hard for them in that first half. I actually think we played them off the park, mate.
Yeah, I thought we were fantastic. Even at 1-0 down, I was still confident we could get back into it, and we did. Great goal by Paqueta, and then I was confident we could go on and win it, and we did, thanks to an own goal by Botman and Soucek in the very last minute as well. But I completely agree with you, and I think sometimes you get the impression that commanders lost his head a little bit, and I got that with Eddie Howe yesterday. The subs at halftime, I didn't really understand them from a Newcastle's perspective, and then when he made his other two in the second half, when he brought on the Alanga and Barnes, it felt like he was just chucking on attacking players, really, without much. I mean, I thought Tonali was looking quite good in the second half. I thought he was starting to dictate play a little bit. Then Howe changed it, and Tonali ended up right back or something. He got deeper, and he just took him out of the game completely. I thought Howe got a lot wrong himself. And I think sometimes that can be a reflection of what the opposition's doing to you, in the sense that you almost don't have an answer. You don't really make a sub with confidence. You don't go, right, I'm going to... Because at halftime, he would have done. When he changed it at halftime, he would have felt confident his subs were going to make a difference. And I was actually quite pleased to see Yolenton go to the left wing, because I thought, well, you've just taken your physicality in the middle of the pitch and put him out on the left. And Yolenton used to be that type of attacking player, but he's not anymore. He's been converted into a proper sort of number 8 under Eddie Howe. Went on the left wing. We didn't see him at all in the second half. He just stood out there with Wan-Bissaka, and I thought, that's helping us, really. And then the other two subs, so I thought it was just desperation from Eddie Howe. And I think that's a massive compliment to Nuno, because it felt a little bit like Howe saying, I don't know. I don't know how to break West Ham down. I don't know how to score an equaliser. I'm hoping that one of my players are going to do something. I don't really know what I'm doing here.
Yeah, we can give a nod to Nuno there, but really, we said it before the game. You have to play Wan-Bissaka on the right side of that defence to deal with Gordon. And it was all about whether Wan-Bissaka was going to be up for that challenge or not. And he was. Yeah, and he didn't give Gordon a sniff. And actually, what we saw is, you take that Gordon to the World Cup, what we've seen is a player that, when he ain't having it his way, gets frustrated, loses his head. And that's what Eddie Howe said in his post-match press conference. He did have to make those changes, because he said the body language wasn't correct. He said the body language of these players, they weren't keeping their head, they weren't staying positive. He said, and then that was affecting the whole team. And he said, I had to shake things up, because it's not acceptable to let your head get down and to go missing. And that's exactly what happened. So, yes, nod to Nuno, but big praise for Wan-Bissaka for being back to what we know Wan-Bissaka can be, and someone who literally didn't give Gordon a sniff for the entire first 45 minutes.
Yeah, again, though, I think when players lose their head like that, I think it's a reflection of what they're up against. I think it's frustration. It's nothing's going their way. And like you said, I completely agree. I thought we played them off the pitch. I thought we played some fantastic football in that first half. That's been one of the most enjoyable games of football from West Ham in a long time. Nottingham Forest away earlier this season was good for the last 15 minutes or something. It was 0-0 for a long time, and it wasn't the best game of football in the world. And then we turned it on and we scored 3. But I thought we were brilliant for 45 minutes, and in the second half it was a completely different 45 minutes. I felt like I was watching Nuno's Nottingham Forest, which is, we've got the lead, we're going to hang on to it now. We've got a game plan, we're going to make this difficult. And Areola didn't have anything to do in the second half up until the 90th whatever minute. Osula had that header. But you've got your midfield. I think a lot of people want to see Potts, Fernandes, and Paqueta. Individually, I thought they were brilliant, and collectively, I thought they were fantastic, Frankie. But Freddie Potts, what a Premier League debut from him.
Yeah, a long time coming. Deserved to have a shout way before now. Why waste your time? And do you know what? It feels so horrible because the man, it isn't his fault. But why you would ever consider playing Andy Irving over Freddie Potts, I can't quite get my head around it. Freddie Potts is someone who's just shown the right attitude. He's applied himself correctly in pre-season. He's been patient. He's been a model professional, a real mature head on quite a young player, actually. And we said that, he's sort of been given these little chances and he's taken them and then not been rewarded for it. If there's anything more that he could have done now to cement himself. And do you know the thing that I really don't want to see, Joe, with Freddie Potts? And I really don't want to see it, is comparisons to Declan Rice. I don't like it. It's very lazy comparisons because I'm telling you, that boy plays football. I'm not saying he's a better player than Declan Rice. We know that Declan Rice is a, world-class midfielder, and Potts has got a long way to go. But the way that boy gets his head up, the way that boy plays that ball forward quickly and intelligently is a completely different player to Declan Rice. I actually think he deserves his own praise, his own merit, and to stand in his own, in his own world, because I just don't see him as a Declan Rice. I really don't. So, I don't love it when I see that comparison. I see a few people throwing it around,
I was really saying, I've seen a few people with the comparisons, and I think I agree with you. They're different players, but also I think it's way too soon and way too early. I think it's a lot of pressure as well because you're comparing him to Mark Noble, who went on had a very good career for West Ham, but he didn't reach the levels that Declan Rice has already reached. You're comparing him to someone who, I agree, I think he's world class. He's one of the best midfielders in the league this season. He might even win PFA Player of the Year come the end of the season. If Arsenal win the title, I think Gabriel, Rice, they're probably the two favourites at the moment to win the best player in the league. And of course, Erling Haaland keeps scoring for Man City the way he does. He's going to be up there, but it'll be one of those three probably that's going to win it. And I also think, it's difficult enough to get into a Premier League team from an academy. It's even harder to retain your shirt and your players. And I just think that's a lot of pressure already without the comparisons to Declan Rice. I understand it. I think people are just excited. I think people are just excited by Potts and thinking, wow, kid's great and he's going to go on and become the next Declan Rice. I think it's just excitement taking over. But I think he was wonderful. When you said Andy Irving, I think you could use any midfielder, really. Pre-season, he would have been thinking, I bet you Potts would have been expecting to have started that game at the Stadium of Light. All pre-season he's used. He's thinking, I'm starting against Sunderland. Then he doesn't. And I'm sure Potter might have had a word with him and explained, but I don't know if there would have been an explanation that would have justified it. I think there would have been an element of Potts, and there should have been an element of Potts going, I'm not having this. Well, there's nothing you can say to justify it. And he would have been looking at Rodriguez thinking, I should be playing over you. He'd been looking at Ward-Prowse. He'd been looking at Irving. And he would have been looking at Tomas Soucek and thinking, I should be playing above all of you. He might have even been looking at Edson Alvarez in the summer, thinking, I'm going to have your shirt and all. He would have been within his right in pre-season, be thinking, I'm the most impressive midfielder at West Ham now. I've had my loan spell. I'm good enough to start. And like you said, he's had a chance, taken it, and not got rewarded. And he's in and out the team and getting some minutes, some games. He's not coming off the bench, gets his chance, and he's taking it. That might have been a part of him. I was thinking, why have I not been playing all season? This is what I can do. I should have played against Sunderland. I should have played against Brentford and Leeds, but he's in there now. And Nuno said he wants something to click, and he wants routine. It's clicked. Now he has to provide the routine now.
What a surprise, Geo. Playing players in natural positions means it just clicks. It's hard to work it out, isn't it, to be honest? But that's another reason why he has deserved it, not based on what he's been showing or ability, but because he's the natural player to play in front of that defensive line. Like, if you want to play with 4 at the back, Potts in front of them is a must and always has been a must. If you ask Soucek to play there, if you ask Ward-Prowse to play there, if you ask to play any of the other midfielders, other than probably Rodriguez, is probably the most natural other player to play there, but he hasn't. He just can't.
They're all lacking something, aren't they? Yeah, they're all lacking something.
Whereas he is the man who's played that. He's just the most natural player in that position. And what it would always allow is, rather than other players having to compensate for the lack of ability in certain positions, Paqueta always looking over his shoulder. Can I go? Do I have to sit because we're going to get in trouble here? People calling out Fernandes not being good enough. I said to everyone, wait until Potts is in front of that back 4 and then see what Fernandes and Paqueta will bring, because it will free them up to play their natural game. And that's exactly what we saw. It's sometimes, and I know it's hard, isn't it? Because you'll say that Paqueta's getting paid how much per week? You should, if you wanted him to play in goal, he should go out there and give 100%. But it's just, you can't excuse it. It's a natural thing for people to just get frustrated if they're not playing. It was like when we started to push Antonio further forward and he was really enjoying it. And then all of a sudden we started asking him to play right back again. And he used to throw his toys out of his pram. At one point, Antonio hated when we moved him back to right back again when we needed him to. He just didn't play very well. He just struggled to get motivated to play there. Like, this is it. And, you're right. All the time we've been putting Paqueta in situations where he's got a cover for everyone else. Well, with Potts behind him, he can just worry about what Paqueta does. Yeah. And that's why we saw a much better Paqueta and a much better Fernandes. A lot of praise is going to go for Potts, deservedly so. And as we all know, it was gutted that he didn't get his goal. But that time will come. But Fernandes was at it at the weekend. The amount of interceptions he made, the amount of times that he nicked that ball, the energy that he brought to the midfield. I mean, it was just everything that we'd hoped it would be. And like you said, they've got a great midfield, Newcastle, but it looks like we have too. So that can be the catalyst to hopefully we kick on. We had quite a few. I think there's going to be quite a few unsung heroes. Why nobody? I think everyone knows everyone had a good game. I think there was so many positives. There were just a few that will go a little bit unnoticed. And for me, one of them was Callum Wilson. I thought Callum Wilson showed a proper.
He's the one I pick out as well.
Performance.
Yeah. Do you know what would make this video even better? If you're enjoying it with a beer, but not just any beer, a free beer. But fortunately, we're on hand to help with that, because all you got to do is go claim your free case of beer and pay the postage, which is £5.95. Sit back and relax, and Beer 52 will send you 8 delicious beers for you to try. But not only do you get 8 delicious beers, you also get 2 packs of snacks. And the latest Ferment magazine as well. Now, if you fancy a little bit of that, of course you do. Why wouldn't you? It's free beer. Go to beer52.com. That's beer52.com/hammers. The link's in the description below and the pinned comments as well. And once you're on the page, just click to claim your free case. Select if you want mixed beers or light beers. Pay the postage. Sit back, relax. And next time you're watching a Hammers Chat video or West Ham United, you can enjoy it with one of your delicious 8 free beers. Cheers. Go on, labour your point, expand.
Yeah, I just think
his flowers, Frankie.
Yeah, no, I think he does that. It is his flowers, but do you know what? He didn't do anything out of the ordinary. What he did was just do what attackers are supposed to do. He came in, he dropped into that space, because Albie was watching it with me, and I was showing him that you can't always stand on the last defender. Sometimes you've got to drop in, win that ball, and hold that ball up. And I thought he did it. He just looked like, and we've had it a couple of times when we actually somehow get a proper centre forward up front for a change. They show us what a proper centre forward's all about. And that's what a proper centre forward can give you. It's dropping in, it's the link-up play, it's the intelligent runs, it's peeling off and pulling defenders out of position, which opens space up for other players. There's so much more to being a striker than just being able to put the ball in the back of the net. And I thought he just looked brilliant up there. I do think we suffered a little bit when he come off. You know, putting Soucek up there, I don't think he got anywhere near as close to the ball as what Wilson was. And everything we asked Soucek to do, I don't really think he did it. I know he got the goal at the end. And as you know, I've been a big defender of Soucek. It really showed that when you take a proper striker off and you try and put someone in that role who isn't used to doing it, you saw the difference.
You saw at times in the second half, like later on with Soucek, his natural instinct is to go back and help. Like he wants to go back and he wants to defend. And Newcastle was starting to put crosses in as well. And I think Soucek wanted to get in the box and try and defend them. And at one point he did and got a kick in the nuts for it as well. And I think that almost caused a bit of a problem because he would go halfway. He'd almost come away from the Newcastle defence. He'd become a bit of a central midfielder. And then we'd win the ball back and he'd be 20 yards out of position then because he's been trying to get back to help. So I think he was almost him wanting to do the best for the team, actually, to some extent, I think hindered the team on occasions because he wasn't where he was meant to be. But I understood why Nuno put him on. When I was doing the watch along, I was thinking maybe it is Soucek to bring on because we were just hitting it along. I thought, who better to have than Soucek trying to hassle defenders and just flick it on and win free kicks and win throw-ins. And I don't think he gave us that when he came on. I think he was too far away from the defence. And it was just the nature of the game as well and the state of the game and the way we were defending. But I think it showed just how poor this squad is. You know, when some people have suggested that perhaps that's why Nuno did what he did against Leeds and Brentford, just to demonstrate how poor this squad is. It wasn't a theory I subscribe to, but I think actually bringing Soucek off the bench as striker, I think that demonstrates how poor the squad is more than anything else. Because while I did it, as I said, as a bit of a joke, it's true, which is we spent £45 million on Haller, 35 on Skamaka, 25 on Fulkrug, tens of millions of pounds we spent on strikers. It's 2025, 10th game of the season, and we've got Tomas Soucek running around up front. That's how bad the planning for this squad has been and the recruitment of this squad has been. And this isn't a reflection of Tomas Soucek, it's a reflection of where West Ham United are. But it worked in the end because he's got that determination. Not every player would have that determination Soucek does to get there and to get that rebound off Nick Pope and put it in the back of the net. Not everyone would have done that. So you make your own luck sometimes. But a wonderful win, and it's really perked me up, Frankie. It's given me that hope that I had when Nuno came in, faded over the Brentford and Leeds games. It's sort of come back now because I think, here we go. This is what I thought we were getting when we hired Nuno. I'm having to convince myself to let him off with those two games. And if we'd played Villa and Brighton, I probably could get over it pretty quickly. But I think because it was against Brentford and Leeds, there is a part of me that thinks, why didn't we do that yesterday? Those games, because I'm convinced we would have had 3-4 more points on the board. So I'm going to have to get over it. But there is an element of me that thinks, no, I want to kiss your baldy head, but I also want to wring your bloody neck at the same time as well. But I'm pleased he played that lineup. I'm pleased we got the performance because had he done that team and we got beat, he would have gone back to the drawing board. And that mid-team that everyone wanted to see might have got ripped up and something else happened. But we put the performance in. And I feel quite confident he's not going to make any changes for the Burnley game now. And I don't want to see any changes for the Burnley game. So I'm pleased that he's done what he's done. But I'm also further pleased that it's worked. And like you said, we didn't just win. We won convincingly. And the football in the first half, I thought was very enjoyable. The movement, the passing, that's a good brand of football in that first 45. Second 45, it's game state. We decided to defend the lead. I understand it. But the first half, I thought Paqueta, Fernandes, Potts, Somerville, Bowen, Wilson, I was entertained. I thoroughly enjoyed that game. Big win, big performance. Oh, I'm a positive panda today, Frankie.
Good. And then so we should be. And look, it picks the crowd up in the stadium. It wasn't a big crowd in there, but we still made a lot of noise because everyone's on the edge of their seats. It was the best football West Ham have played for a long time. We played fantastic football. Like you said, it's enjoyable football. It was on the front foot football. We've not seen us play on the front foot for how long? Yeah.
Despite trying to do that with Lopetegui and Potter, it's a defensive guy that comes in and does it.
Well, yeah. And sometimes, though, you don't necessarily have to be attacking to get on the front foot. It's about how you control the game. And by having a proper midfield, we was able to control the game. It seemed so simple. We all called for it. We finally got there. I'm not giving Nuno a nod yet. This is what we should have seen, like you said, in those two other games. I don't know why it's taken this long, but we've got there in the end. Yeah, I mean, and okay, we did what we did in the second half. We got away with it. On another day, I hope we get to the point where we're confident enough that we can play like we did in that first half and just continue it. Just keep playing that football. We were so in control. And it was the right thing to do. We had to get that win over the line. I understand it. I get it. I'm not knocking it. I know what he did in that second half and all the reasons for it. But we were so in control and so dominant that it would just be nice that once we get that confidence, that we don't have to do that all the time, because we won't always get away with putting every single man behind the ball and getting away with it. So that's the thing that I want to see next, is us to just believe in it a bit more.
To counter that, I think there's two things here for me. One, I don't think we got away with it. I thought we defended quite comfortably and convincingly. Ariola didn't have a save to make until stoppage time in the second half. I think we defended really well, so it worked, and we were good at it. And the second thing is, and this is important, if you're going to play like that, my point number two here is important. When we won possession, we maintained a threat. We got forward. When we got forward in responsible numbers, we didn't go 6 or 7 running forward trying to score. There was 4 running forward trying to score. So there was enough protection, but there was also enough threat going in the opposite direction. And I feel like on a few occasions we did win the ball back. We did try and counter-attack. And this is why I say Nuno's not involved, is because they were bloody good at it last season. They were bloody good at going 1-0 up, defending, and when they won the ball back, Hudson-Odoi, Alanga, Gibbs-White, they were off. Woof, good luck. I mean, Brighton conceded 7 to them in the end because they were just that quick on the counter-attack and they were that good on the counter-attack. And I think we can be good on the counter-attack, and I think we will be. So I don't mind. I think there's a big difference between low block, but when you get the ball, you just belt it down the pitch and you retain your low block and you've got no intention of attacking. I think at 2-1, while we were defending for loads of the second half, Newcastle had 74% possession. We barely seen the ball. But I think when we had it, I do think we wanted to get forward and go try and get that third goal. And we didn't have many opportunities. I mean, Potts had a disallowed goal, which if Soucek had smaller feet or slightly had a different angle of foot, it would have stood, right? We would have went 3-1 up. Bowen had a chance which he shanked high and wide. We got the goal in the end. We were unlucky not to score 4 or 5 yesterday. Bowen hit the pause, the penalty, Paqueta's free kick. We had some good opportunities and we carved them open. But we had some good opportunities in the second half as well, whilst defending for the majority of it. So I don't mind it, but as long as you're good at it, I think doing it when you're bad at it is a bloody stupid thing to do, but we were good at it yesterday. But also always make sure you've got an attacking threat that you can still go, because sometimes I think yesterday, I mean, we've seen in the end, Newcastle were throwing the sink at us, but even before that, there was a couple of 3-on-3 attacks for us because we were taking advantage of Newcastle throwing everything we had. It boom. I think we'll score quite a lot of the goals on the counter attack under Nuno this season, just doing attacks like that. So I don't mind it too much, as long as it's done in the correct manner. I do not like, to be clear, I do not like defending, booing it away and letting them come back at you. And I think we were doing that sometimes, actually. I'm not going to pretend we got the ball and went to attack every single time. There was a lot of clear it down the middle of the park and get back into position. I just don't want to see that consistently. So as long as we've got that chance of scoring, I'm okay with it. Am I buzzing? No, the first 45 was my type of football. So I agree with what you're saying, but I think hopefully under Nuno will be good enough to do both elements of the game rather than just one of them.
Yeah, I mean, the midfield again helps you do it, because there was a few times where it's on the edge of our box and it's natural to want to just clear your lines, especially when you're under pressure and you know they're sort of coming at you quite a bit. But when you've got Paqueta who picks the ball up on the edge of the box, he don't lash it away, does he? He always puts his foot on it, and you know.
The other thing here, though, is Frankie's a squad. I like to think if he had Chris Wood, say, he would have come on, not Tomas Soucek. He would have still had a striker on the pitch. If he had a more experienced winger than Guilherme, he would have come on for Somerville, not Walker. It might have been Walker Peters. It might have been. But I do wonder if he had a different winger, would he have taken Somerville off and put a winger on? So we'd have still had a striker and a winger. But because of the squad available to him, he had to bring on Soucek. He could have took Guilherme on for Walker Peters, but I'll be honest with you, I didn't have a burning desire to see Guilherme come on. I knew Somerville was tired, but I wasn't thinking get Guilherme on it. But I wouldn't have been against it. I would have understood why he did it, to keep that pace, to have that direct runner. But I also get why. What I would have done was put Walker Peters on and put Juve left midfield and drop Walker Peters into defence and had the better defender out of the two defending and the better attacker of the two attacking. But I do think his bench is his options are limited at the minute in terms of what he can do. But I will give him the benefit of the doubt and say that if he had a striker, he would have taken him on for Wilson. And I know people say, well, he could have had Marshall, he could have had Landers. I get that. But in terms of that senior striker, we've only got Wilson and Fulkrug, and one of them's injured presently. So there's not much Nuno can do yet. I think you've got an insight into what he wants to do, but I still think
Fulkrug would have been the man yesterday, and he would have been a great option, actually.
Yeah,
that was the game made for Fulkrug in that last bit. And actually, I think we'd have been even more of a threat with Fulkrug up there. And it would have, I think it would have given also Newcastle just something a little bit more to think about. I think if Eddie Howe sees Fulkrug coming on up there, I think he thinks, oh, hang on a minute, maybe we've got to keep one more player deeper, because we know what he's about, and we don't want to leave him up there. And I think he would have dropped in and won the ball more. Soucek struggled to get close to the ball in that second half. We sort of put him on there as that man who could hold the ball up, a bit of a target. He didn't really show enough of that for me. So again, loads of positives.
Yeah,
and it was brilliant. But I just feel like we still know what we need. We know we need another striker in the window. My only question now, going into that transfer window as well, is with that midfield, I think it made such a difference that if any one of those players is unavailable, what do we do?
Yeah.
And Magassa doesn't seem like a bad option. I feel like he can cover ish, but is that enough? So it's just whether or not we do need to, and it seems crazy because we're always talking about, we've just signed Fernandes in that role, you've just signed Magassa in that role. So really, we should be sitting there thinking our midfield's sorted right now. But I just feel like it was the first time that everything really did come together. And I'm nervous, Gio. If any of those players were unavailable, does it go backwards? And that's the only thing that I'm a bit.
Yeah, I agree. We've got a good first 11. And we've got a couple of good players outside the first 11. But I don't think we've got a good bench.
I mean, until yesterday, we'd be sitting here now saying in January we need a new centre-back. But we haven't discussed that when we were just having that conversation.
I still think
we'd be saying we need another. Yeah, absolutely. We still need another centre midfielder. We know we need a central striker. You could have an argument that even though we've got Walker Peters and you've got Diouf there, if you're going to play more of a flat back four moving forward instead of a wing back, do you need a left-sided defender? There's so many things that we could say, even up to the point of yesterday. I think people might have even questioned whether we need another goalkeeper option instead of Areola, but he come out and played really well. So what difference a day makes, doesn't it? You're sitting here beforehand and we're all panicked and we're all like, we're doomed. And now all of a sudden there's a light of hope, and all of a sudden it's like all of our problems have gone away. But that's a little bit of a false sense of security. I think for all of the brilliance of yesterday and how well we played and everything, it's all amazing. Like you said, it still seems fragile.
Yeah,
like,
got to go
when
forward.
We needed to bring players on, it was a bit like, who do we bring on here? So what I don't want us to now do is go on a bit of a run up until January, and then we think, relax. Relax. Don't then be busy in January, and then we have an injury to either Potts or something happens, and then everything goes backwards. So we still need to just
first things first, got to follow up with the win against Burnley on Saturday. Must-win game, and if we win 3-1, we'll come out the bottom three. Going into the international break, and it's pathetic that we are here, and that's where we will be, and that's what we're aiming for at this point. But that's the reality of it. But the win against Newcastle's made it a possibility. Big win, big performance. Frankie, thank you. Thank you very much, my friend. You guys at home, thank you. Thank you very much, my friends. Thank you for joining us. If you enjoyed the podcast, please do drop a like on it, subscribe if you need to. Hammers chat. Myself and Frankie will catch up with you later on in the week as we will look ahead to the Burnley match and discuss any West Ham news that pops up during the week. Thank you very much. Myself and Frankie, we'll catch you in a bit.